Alright everyone, welcome back to B Mullen Reviews. Today we're taking a look at this special pewter Magneto statue. And if you're sitting there thinking pewter, what's up with that? You're right, it's not the typical material that you see a collectible or a statue. Any of these statues around me are not made from this. And it does require some special techniques to produce. So we're going to go through that, and we're going to go through our regular review topics. Sculpt and design, paint, yes, paint, production and build quality. And at the end, I'm going to tell you why I think this is just the type of collectible that you should consider for your collection. So let's get in the review right now. Alright, so as I mentioned off the top, this statue is made of pewter, which is considered historically a precious metal. Yeah, this figure is made completely out of metal. You can hear as I bang the cape there. It's really kind of a cool figure. Pewter is made primarily from tin. There's some copper and bismuth and a few other metals that they combine in there to make the alloy that you see here. I mentioned it's a precious metal. It's not as valuable as gold or silver or anything like that, but it's really highly desirable because of its unique finish and the patina that it gets as it ages. It's very desirable. So very cool to have a statue made from it. This statue is made by a Malaysian-based company called Royal Selangor. And they've been around for a long time, like well over 100 years, and they've made all kinds of stuff out of pewter over the years. Teapots, dishes, jewelry, picture frames, Formula One race trophies, and now just in the last few years they've started making collectibles like this. And there's got quite a wide range actually. They got Marvel, they got DC, they got Star Wars and Disney, so there's a lot of stuff to choose from, different sizes and price ranges and everything. This particular piece is from rsfigures.com. If you live in Canada or the US, check out rsfigures.com for all of the Royal Selangor collectibles. Now, this is the first metal piece on the channel, and I can't think of a better character to start with than the master of magnetism, Magneto. Great character, and I'm really excited about this piece, so we're going to start off the review right now, and we're going to start with sculpt and design. Alright, so this statue actually has a name, and it's called Magneto Dominant. And I can't think of a better word to describe Magneto than dominant, and just his powers, his persona, and his whole life's agenda. He wants nothing more than mutant domination of the world. And looking at this design, he looks dominating here. What X-Men statue would be complete without a Sentinels themed base? He's standing atop this Sentinel palm here. And he's made short work of it, you can tell. The fingertips are popped off and everything, but really a lot of detail in this base. It looks pretty sharp. But Magneto himself, he's got one foot up. He's got his hands out, his fingers gnarled like this. Cape is flapping in the wind. He's got a very stern expression on his face. He looks dominating here, so it's a perfect name for the statue. Now this piece was sculpted by Mufazal Mokhtar, and you probably recognize that name. He's done work for XM Studios over the years, his own company HMO, and he's done most of the collectible line for Royal Selangor as well. And what's interesting about making a statue for pewter is that because the material shrinks more than your typical resin or polystone, he actually has to sculpt the statue a little bit fatter than he normally would. So about 3 to 5% fatter, and certain parts of the statue you're not going to notice the shrinkage as much as others, so it's not all the same. So it's been quite a learning process to make these pewter collectibles, but he's a quick study and he's refined his craft, and you can tell with this piece here. Really nice textures on the piece, and I'll talk more about the textures later, but the cape has this nice rough texture on the outside and a little smoother on the inside to give it that kind of regal look of the cape. As I mentioned, the facial expression, the pose, the base has lots of detail to it. You got the wrinkles and folds in the boots and the gloves. Nice physique, nice anatomy here for him. I like the helmet. I'm a little picky about the shape of Magneto's helmet, and I like this one here. It's a really nice sculpt, really nice job. by Royal Selangor and Mufazal. Great work. I like it. All right, so we're going to move on and talk about paint. And, you know, other than the obvious, you got the black base here. You know, you might be thinking the statue has no paint, and you're kind of right there. It's not your typical statue paint job that you'd expect, but you will notice on Magneto there's varying degrees of dark areas and shiny areas, and the way they achieve that is by giving it a black wash, and different intensities of texture will pick up that wash in different ways. So the designers and the sculptor have to sit back and look at this character and think, okay, which areas do we want to be light, which areas do we want dark, and what's the mid-tone, and adjust the textures of the statue accordingly. So you look at Magneto and you see his boots and his gloves and helmet are very smooth, so they give a very shiny finished look. They don't pick up that wash. But then you got his suit, you know, his chest and legs a little bit darker. There's a nice fine texture in those areas. And you turn it around, you can take a look at the cape, which has got a very heavy, rough texture to it, and it shows up much darker. So kind of a neat way to finish the statue, and it's not painted per se, as I said, but they do have to think about color and shading of the final product, and I think that process is pretty cool. And I gotta say, the finished look of the piece is fantastic. I think it just turns out great. All right, we're going to talk the production and build quality of this statue. Now, the base is actually made of bonded porcelain. I'll be totally honest, I don't know exactly what that material is, but it does feel quite heavy and high quality, and it does have a bit of a metallic ping to it still. So overall, the statue weighs about 8 or 9 pounds in that area, and it's about 11 inches tall. And in case you're wondering, that puts Magneto at about 1/7 to 1/8 scale. So it's a decent sized statue. It's got really nice heft to it. Feels very high end, high quality. Now, manufacturing out of pewter, it does require a fairly high level of skill and craftsmanship. You got to make special molds to cast the materials, and then you got to polish them and file them down and buff them out, and then if there's different parts, you have to solder them together. So it does take a fair degree of skill, and you can kind of see that here. It's a really, as I said, high-end looking piece. It really does look fantastic, actually. Now you can see the box on the shelf behind me, and what's kind of interesting about that is you pull the piece of foam off the top, and then you pull the statue out, and it's all one piece. It comes exactly as you see here. There's no switch out parts, there's no assembly required, and that's actually kind of nice for a change, to be honest with you. You just pull it out of the box, put it on the shelf, and you're done. So, as I said, this piece looks and feels extremely high quality to me. You know, the metal finish, it just feels good. And I've seen some Royal Selangor pieces at New York Comic Con this past year. They had the XM replica pieces, the Samurai Batman, and the classic Iron Man. But I didn't get the chance to pick them up and hold them in my hand. And when I pulled this out of the box, man, you just feel it. You feel the quality, and it's something completely different than I've ever had before. And it's really a fantastic statue. So I'm really pleased with the quality of this piece. All right, so it's time to wrap up the review now. This is the Royal Selangor pewter Magneto dominant statue. As I mentioned earlier, this particular piece is from rsfigures.com. They are the North American or US distributor for Royal Selangor. So go check out their website if you want to see all the Royal Selangor collectibles on their site. Now, this statue, if there's one word I can use to sort of sum it up, it's classy. This is a high-end, high-quality, just classy looking collectible. It's something completely different than I've ever had before. I think, a lot of collectors, myself included, you probably have a room or an area of your home where you keep all your stuff. This is my man cave or collector cave, or you want to call it. I got statues lining all the walls of this room, and I keep all my stuff here. This piece here This could be displayed anywhere and look outstanding. You know, if you want to put it in your living room or you have a home office, you could put it there, or you could, if you work in an office, you could keep it on the shelf there, and people are going to look at it and say, wow, that looks amazing. This is absolutely a fantastic collectible. I'm really pleased with how this looks in person. Magneto Dominant from Royal Selangor and RS Figures turned out amazing. Great quality. Sculpted details are all there. Even though it's made of pewter, you still get that quality and detail. And it's sculpted by Mufasal, who's a tremendous artist as well. So you're not losing anything by having this made out of pewter. I think it just turned out fantastic. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Magneto Dominant. There's always more coming to the channel, so stay tuned, and we'll talk to you guys soon.